Congratulations on your choice to use OwnerRez to help manage your short-term rental business. This video and the Setup Checklist series will walk you through adding property-level rules to your property. If you haven't set up your property in OwnerRez, please refer to our Setup Checklist listing content videos. After adding a property to OwnerRez, you'll need to add the following rules for each property: legal agreement, payment methods, cancellation policy, first payment, second payment, pending and auto cancellation, security deposits, defaults, size restrictions, length restrictions, booking window, and changeover restrictions. If you have more than a few properties, it may be easier to download an export of your properties and edit the rules for all the properties in that spreadsheet. Then import the edited spreadsheet. To get started editing the rules to your property, click on the Properties link in the top menu bar. Click on your property ID number link to open the property general info. Click on Rules in the left-hand bar. Here you will see the default rules that have been populated. Click on the pencil change button to start adding the rules that best suit your business model. The first rule is legal agreement. Renter agreements are very important to make sure both parties to a rental understand the terms involved. We include a default renter agreement in your account. To create your own renter agreement, click the Settings link in the toolbar, scroll down to the Branding and Legal section, and click on Legal Agreements. Next up is payment methods. By default, all available payment methods is selected. You can change this if you want to limit your guests to only one form of payment. If you want to direct your guests to a different web page after booking, enter that URL in the Redirect After Booking URL field. For first payment, enter your rules for how much you will charge your guest and when the first payment will be due. For cancellation policy, you can define a cancellation policy in the Settings section here. For the pending and auto cancellation section, if a booking is made using a payment method that doesn't automatically charge the guest, the following rules are used to put the booking in a pending state with auto cancellation if payment isn't received/recorded by the deadline. If there is a remaining balance from your guest before their arrival date, set the rules for payment in the second payment section. Enter your rules for collecting security deposits from your guest in the security deposit section. Hold is the default option. Using this method does not incur any credit card processing fees because nothing is actually charged to the guest's credit card. Much like a gas station or hotel simply holds the money using the credit card as collateral. You can also select refundable security deposit, which will charge the guest for the deposit and incur processing fees. You can also set guest reminder triggers here as well. Both security deposit methods allow you to automatically release the funds by setting a certain amount of days after the guest has departed. In the default section, list your check-in and check-out times and the default number of days that quotes are active. In the size restrictions section, enter info about the number of guests and pets allowed. Configure your minimum night restrictions taking holidays, weekends, and gaps into consideration in the minimum night restrictions section. Default min is the default minimum nights you require a guest to stay. It will apply when it's not overridden by something else. Editing during gaps allows you to override the other rules if there's a gap between bookings where the minimum would otherwise not allow bookings. If you have a rule for maximum nights, enter it here. The maximum nights rule limits the booking so it can't be longer than the specified amount. It's not required, but if you want to keep people from booking more than 14 or 30 nights, or what have you, then configure a rule here. For the booking window section, enter how much lead time you require from your guests and a cap on how far in advance they can book. You can allow same-day bookings or require some days of lead time between the booking date and arrival. 1 day advance notice for all bookings does not mean that check-in is allowed greater than 24 hours from the time that the guest books. 1 day advance notice does mean no sooner than tomorrow. For example, if your property's lead time is set to 1 day from now, a guest can book a reservation at 11:55 p.m. the night before to arrive the following afternoon. Max days in the future lets you keep bookings from being made too far ahead of time. Changeover restrictions. There are 4 possible settings. No restriction, any gaps or no gaps at all are allowed. Require gap between bookings, This will require a gap between bookings of a certain number of days. If your cleaning staff needs a day or two between bookings, configure that here. Disallow gaps of exactly. This setting allows you to disallow gaps of a certain length that you might not be able to book, usually 1 or 2 nights. So if you have a booking that departs on the 5th, for example, and a disallow gaps of 1, the next booking could arrive either on the 5th or the 7th. It could not arrive on the 6th, as that would create a 1-night gap. Disallow any gaps that have a length between. This setting allows you to disallow a range of gaps, say 1 to 3 nights. That would allow adjacent bookings, then not allow bookings that create a 2 or 3 night gap, and allow 4-night gaps. Be very careful when setting a rule like this. It's easy to make more things unbookable than you would think. Consider adding these types of gap rules in your seasons rather than year-round. Arrival/departure days. This rule lets you allow only certain arrival-departure days at all times. For example, requiring Saturday to Sunday stays only. By default, all days are allowed. Uncheck the ones that you don't want to allow. These are the default arrival-departure days that you allow. You can use seasons to set only certain arrival-departure for more flexibility with these rules. When you are done entering your property rules, click the green Save button. You will see a summary of all your rules. If everything looks good, you are ready to continue on to the next step in the setup checklist, seasons/holidays and rates. Thank you for choosing OwnerRez.